A desolate stretch of Interstate 10 baking under the Arizona sun. Lying right there in the dirt is the most critical piece of physical evidence in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. This single black nitrile glove was supposed to trigger a massive FBI response. Instead, it became the foundational anomaly of a psychological operation designed to paralyze the justice system. Sheriff Chris Nanos stood beneath the glare of the national media and pointed a trembling finger at the press, claiming rogue journalists engaged in evidence tampering. But what if the planted evidence was never a media stunt? What if those discarded gloves were a calculated forensic trap, deployed by the very authorities sworn to protect Nancy Guthrie? I hold in my possession the details of a classified, unredacted chain of custody log from the Pima County Dispatch Center. This operational timeline documents the exact GPS coordinates of every deputy on that highway long before the media helicopters ever arrived. I can only reveal the specifics of this document at the end of the video, because once you comprehend the sheer scale of this institutional deception, you can never unsee it. How deep does the shadow fall when the authorities hunting a phantom are actively wiping away their own footprints? To grasp the chilling anatomy of this cover-up, you must rewind to the critical 48-hour window immediately following the abduction of Nancy Guthrie. Look closely at the unedited archived footage of Sheriff Chris Nanos delivering his initial public briefings. Do not listen to the carefully manicured statements Sheriff Chris Nanos reads from his podium. Apply basic forensic behavioral analysis to his baseline reactions. Watch the rigid tension in his shoulders. Notice the asymmetrical tightening of his jawline, and the rapid blinking pattern that spikes the exact millisecond a reporter mentions federal jurisdiction. This is not the organic stress of an overwhelmed local official. This is the severe cognitive load of a man actively suppressing a catastrophic truth. The historical context of this investigation was meticulously engineered by the Pima County Sheriff Department to resemble a frantic, unpredictable tragedy. They wanted the public to hyperfixate on the biological trace material left on the front porch of Nancy Guthrie. But elite criminal profilers understand that manufactured chaos is the ultimate tool used to mask a highly coordinated extraction. The primary zone was released by Sheriff Chris Nanos with alarming speed, allowing untested personnel to completely trample the perimeter. Why would Sheriff Chris Nanos intentionally compromise the most critical forensic ground zero in the state of Arizona? The narrative shifted across the true crime community when mainstream networks broadcasted the ultimate decoy. The entire investigation violently pivoted to a rumor that a rogue media operative was staging a fake crime scene to manipulate the Nancy Guthrie case. The sensory details of that highway search were deeply overwhelming. Blaring sirens echoing off the canyon walls as forensic technicians bagged over 16 different pairs of discarded gloves. Why nitrile gloves? Because nitrile does not leave porous microscopic fibers, and it entirely blocks latent fingerprint transfer. The tension reached a fever pitch as viewers demanded the immediate arrest of the mysterious journalist who supposedly destroyed the integrity of the case. But right as public outrage peaked, a terrifying operational twist emerged. An independent review of the Pima County radio traffic revealed a severe timeline discrepancy. Sheriff Chris Nanos and the local command structure actually wanted this planted evidence scandal to dominate the headlines. The planted glove theory was a highly weaponized decoy meant to bury massive forensic discrepancies. While the entire country was debating a piece of synthetic rubber, nobody was monitoring the colossal chain of custody violations happening deep inside the Pima County evidence lockers. By feeding the ravenous public a phantom villain, Sheriff Chris Nanos successfully paralyzed the FBI oversight and bought the actual perpetrators an invaluable head start. Stop for a second and step inside the mind of the primary suspect. Imagine the exact moment the suspect is sitting in a quiet room, watching Sheriff Chris Nanos sweat on national television. The suspect is not panicked. The suspect is studying these public interrogation tactics from afar. Behind the barricaded doors of the precinct, a rapid digital scrubbing protocol was actively executing regarding the ransom notes. Emergency public relations blackouts were initiated across all Pima County communication channels. The moment the planted evidence trap was sprung on the public, open-source intelligence communities noticed massive digital anomalies. The digital ransom notes demanding millions in untraceable Bitcoin became the center of a bizarre jurisdictional turf war between Pima County and the FBI. Let us do a psychological deep dive into these ransom demands. The architecture of the digital extortion was flawless. Advanced cyber sleuths tracking the cryptocurrency ledgers noted that the ransom demands were moving through highly sophisticated dark web tumblers. Furthermore, an encrypted router ping was detected just miles from the station, matching the exact timestamp of the first Nancy Guthrie ransom email. Yet Sheriff Chris Nanos aggressively fought to maintain an iron grip on the physical evidence while shoving the highly complex digital ransom notes over to the FBI. This was a calculated bifurcation of evidence. A divided investigation is a blind investigation. A former insider from within the Joint Task Force has finally stepped out of the shadows. This whistleblower confirmed that the turf war between Pima County and the FBI was a strategic embargo. It was designed to stop federal agents from running the collected biological swabs through national databases. The ultimate betrayal of Nancy Guthrie did not happen in the shadows. It happened on live television. The whistleblower revealed the exact moment the investigation was deliberately compromised by its own leader. Sheriff Chris Nanos intentionally went on a local broadcast and revealed highly classified biometric secrets to the public. He explicitly detailed that the crime lab was unable to find a match in the national databases, and was now resorting to advanced genetic genealogy. Let us break down the forensic magnitude of this blunder. Genetic genealogy relies on finding distant cousins who have uploaded their genetic profiles to public ancestry websites. By explicitly stating this on television, Sheriff Chris Nanos did not make a clumsy slip of the tongue under pressure. Sheriff Chris Nanos utilized a public broadcast to deliberately transmit a warning directly to the perpetrators, explicitly signaling that they were completely safe to scrub their family trees. The moment that broadcast aired, the operative knew exactly what to do. The operative contacted extended family members, demanding they log into ancestry databases and permanently hide their genetic profiles. This single television interview completely blinded the FBI and triggered a psychological breakdown of the entire Nancy Guthrie case. True crime experts watched in absolute silence as Sheriff Chris Nanos handed the ultimate tactical advantage directly to the very individual who orchestrated the extraction of Nancy Guthrie. What hidden leverage does this suspect hold over Pima County that would force a sworn sheriff to act as a public relations liaison for an unauthorized network? Speaking these forensic truths out loud carries a devastating and immediate price. The total professional isolation of anyone who questions the official Pima County narrative has already begun behind closed doors. Independent crime journalists and rogue private investigators who pull on these specific investigative threads regarding Nancy Guthrie are facing a secret, weaponized blackout. They are being locked out of press briefings, denied freedom of information requests, and systematically fed fabricated leads designed to ruin their credibility. The stakes surrounding the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie have transcended a simple missing persons case. The situation has become a systemic crisis for the local justice system. The very institutions sworn to locate the perpetrators are actively utilizing their immense resources to suppress the truth. As this exact video goes live across the internet, high-powered attorneys are already drafting aggressive legal injunctions attempting to have this forensic analysis taken offline. They are terrifyingly desperate to maintain the comfortable illusion of bumbling local incompetence, rather than admit the existence of a highly coordinated, deeply embedded sabotage. So you must watch this and archive this data before it is permanently scrubbed from the digital ecosystem. Who possesses so much financial and political capital over the Arizona corridor that the entire Pima County law enforcement apparatus is willing to sacrifice its own public trust to protect them. The time has come to deliver the classified artifact I promised you at the 0 hour. The unredacted dispatch and evidence logging timeline. This classified data proves that the heavily publicized planted gloves in the Nancy Guthrie case were never discovered by accident. The internal logs reveal that local command knew the highway crime scene was forensically compromised hours before they deliberately invited the media to film the sweeping search. Furthermore, the Pima County dispatch logs show a highly irregular radio silence from key deputies during the exact window the gloves were supposedly found. Sheriff Chris Nanos utilized the planted evidence as a blinding smokescreen to justify freezing the FBI out of the primary physical evidence loop under the excuse of media contamination. Connect the forensic dots spanning this entire nightmare. The physiological micro-expressions of severe guilt on the podium. The deliberate leaking of genetic genealogy blind spots to the press. The manufactured outrage over a piece of synthetic rubber. The encrypted router pings masked by local interference. It all forms one inescapable, terrifying conclusion. Sheriff Chris Nanos weaponized his own departmental incompetence to serve as the greatest operational asset to the captors of Nancy Guthrie. But here is the psychological loop that makes this true crime case paralyzing. Sheriff Chris Nanos is not the grand mastermind. The deliberate sabotage of the Nancy Guthrie investigation is merely the outer protective layer of a much larger, highly sophisticated machine. The absolute forensic immunity enjoyed by these suspects strongly points to a state-sponsored proxy or an elite syndicate operating freely through the southern transit corridors. The local sheriff is simply running interference for shadows who control the underground transit network. The rabbit hole never truly ends, and Nancy Guthrie was tragic collateral damage in a covert operation the public is not allowed to acknowledge. You are now fully awake to the architecture of this deception. Subscribe to this channel right now to join the underground archive and stay protected from the mainstream media cover-up. We are building an active immune system against the institutional lies. I need you to force the algorithm to push the Nancy Guthrie investigation to the world by engaging immediately. Answer this stark, polarizing question right now. Is Sheriff Chris Nanos the ultimate mastermind actively orchestrating this cover-up for his own gain? Or is Sheriff Chris Nanos just a compromised pawn who got played by a much darker global organization? Comment your exact answer below right now, because I am actively pulling the most disturbing, highly accurate forensic theories from the comment section to build the case for part 2.